they will now cruise very quickly up to the back of the pack. It depends how quickly they can get through the midfield, and if they can...
This is undrivable.
That's the first time we've ever heard Fernando Alonso say something like that about his new Aston Martin.
What did he say earlier on in the season? He called it beautiful, didn't he? Also, it's like...
rocket ship.
Yeah.
Outdeveloped and getting outpaced, I'm afraid, here tonight's Aston Martin. Alonso 7th with a 5-second penalty to add to his race time.
So Verstappen then is right onto the back of Magnussen, Joe and Albon. Can he carve his way through this pack? Because then he'll bring himself right back into contention.
So Norris has DRS. Let's start pushing Sainz along now.
And that's exactly what George Russell is doing. 7 tenths a gap between Carlos Sainz and George Russell. 6 tenths back to Lando Norris. Lewis Hamilton just a second behind Lando Norris too. You go back to the 1968 US Grand Prix for the last time that British drivers finished 1, 2, 3. That was Sir Jackie Stewart, Graham Hill and John Surtees. And here tonight, Sir Lewis Hamilton, Lando Norris and George Russell hoping to do that. And oh, this is Esteban Ocon pulling off on the inside of turn 2.
That'll have to be a safety car. It's the pit exit.
No! No!
Oh, that is such hard luck for Esteban Ocon. He's driven a super race here.
So they're down at turn 13. Do the leaders gamble on a safety car now? This is the big question. I think that'll have to be a safety car. There's no service road there. It's the exit of the pit lane. It is in the firing line of the racetrack. And they're coming through to 16 now, the leaders. Well, what are you going to do? Are you going to expect a safety car? Or are you going to go round?
Well, you can cover it with double waved yellows for the moment, but the trouble is here, Martin, if someone dived into the pit lane, then Esteban Ocon's car is right in their firing line when they come out, and they are standing by in the pit lane. Virtual safety car has been thrown, but the top 5 have all gone through.
Wow, the leaders have gone past the pit entry.
So they didn't get there in time. Fernando Alonso is now coming at turn 16 while we've got this virtual safety car. So there might be time for others, Bernie Collins, to get their tyres changed.
Yeah, so I think everyone further back will be trying to make their safety car decisions now in terms of what they do. The top 5, if the VSE is still deployed, can box the next lap with no additional loss.
But Mercedes will have to stack their cars. They're very close together. The Ferraris are not. The McLaren are not. And what's key here is a virtual safety car, which means everybody's going around at the same speed. It's not an actual safety car where the pack is going to get collected up.
One team, Ted Kravitz, are pitting one car.
Well, at the moment, it's just Alex Albon, who's coming in. But I just saw as all the teams had their pit crews out in the boxes. I thought Mercedes might gamble it with an early one with Lewis Hamilton, who was at the end of that line. Also, car 20, Kevin Magnussen, is coming in. So it makes sense for them, but Mercedes didn't. Hamilton was already past. They had no choice.
So they were pointless in Italy with both cars. They're pointless with at least one here, Alpine. And that's what happened.
Lost drive.
Yeah, to Esteban Ocon. Oh, that is such bad luck for Esteban Ocon today. He's been driving superbly well. He is out of this race. His teammate Pierre Gasly currently running in 7th. Behind him, Piastri now 8th, Lawson 9th, Hulkenberg 10th. Bernie Collins.
So there's a lot going on the radio now. Obviously in the VSC, the pack does not close up. Russell is shouting at the pit wall to say, can I do the opposite of the car in front? I want to do the opposite.
Sainz is driving unnecessarily slow. He's 3-4 seconds up on his delta.
He's trying to build himself a gap, isn't he, Sainz? So Russell calling him out. Sainz will want to bolt.
Russell's coming in. Russell's coming into the pits. There you can see the Mercedes, and they're double stacking at Mercedes. They've decided it is worth going on to a fresh set of tyres for the end of this race. Medium tyres waiting there for George Russell. The crew have got to be absolutely on their game. They were with George Russell.
Well, that's going to be genius.
And they are with Lewis Hamilton.
They're into clear air. with those fresh tyres, with those brand new mediums. They're absolutely into clear air, and they will catch the pack. They can't catch them under the virtual safety car unless there's a full safety car, but they will have nobody between them and first, second and third on a brand new set of medium compound tyres.
And this, Martin Brundle, is where saving that extra set of the medium compound tyres has really worked to their advantage. They had 2 sets, the rest around them had 1. Fernando Alonso's making his stop.
So the only thing that
for
can
a 5-second penalty, they can't touch the car until 5 seconds have passed. Soft tyres going on to Alonso. But it's not, you've got to lift the car up a bit more, maybe.
The rear's not up as well. He's got to get the rear up.
Oh, this is going from bad to worse now for Aston Martin. Perez goes through while Alonso's still stuck in the pit lane. They tried to do something different, and even that hasn't worked for them tonight.
No, I was about to say, you lose less time with a 5-second penalty when you're under a safety car.
Well, his stop time is 25.8 seconds there.
So we're back in the race then.
Yeah.
So the top 3 now cannot take advantage. If they could get through one more lap, now they're all going to be supremely under pressure from 2 Mercedes-Benz with way better tyres. A bit of catching up to do, but way better tyres.
Both Mercedes pitted, new medium.
I think it is the right choice. Consider even a lap later.
We'll come back to you.
But
So we are staying out.
Yeah, did Charles Leclerc make a question? Did he ask a question to Ferrari? Can I come in for tyres before that particular conversation?
The saving grace for Ferrari and Norris is they've not got the warm-up issue with the 2 Mercedes right on their tail. Yeah. But this pair are going to come at the 3 leaders at the moment, an incredible rate of knots. So that, we talked about that an hour or so ago, didn't we? That they could only really get those tyres on in quite a narrow window, and we've hit that window.
The heat is on, the race is on. Oh, this is going to be a grandstand finish. Bernie Collins, down to you.
Yeah, and just on Martin's point about the warm-up, because the VSC won't have been going as slow as the safety car, the warm-up is going to be much better than the 2 Red Bulls were earlier in the race anyway.
However, the Mercedes are starting to make inroads and are finding pace on those medium compound tyres. Suspected gearbox issue for Esteban Ocon. That's what's caused him to retire. Also out of this race, Yuki Tsunoda and Lance Stroll didn't start. So we've got 17 running here.
So, Carlos Sainz, how much pace did you have available? Because you now need to deploy it and hope your tyres will hang on, and he's also going to have to hope that the 2 Mercedes spend a bit of time catching and getting past, if they can, Leclerc and Norris. But Mercedes are right in this.
What Mercedes have done here, Martin, they might have sacrificed, they might potentially have lost a podium place with George Russell, but what they've done is to say, forget second, we're going for a win here, and this is potentially our best chance of going for a win.
Yeah. Well, the timing was perfect for them, wasn't it? But it really, so Sainz is in the 37s. We'll keep an eye. Russell is in the 36.2, 1.7 seconds faster on that lap than the leader. And that is the rate they're going to catch them. They'll be with them in a half a dozen laps at that pace.
On much fresher tyres, crucially, Russell 2 seconds faster than Norris and Leclerc, currently in second and third. Hamilton crossed the line with a 1:36.9. Even that was faster than Sainz, Norris and Leclerc.
So Ferrari and McLaren just didn't want to give up track position.
Now we've got a yellow flag out there as well, and it might be Fernando Alonso who stopped on the track. There's a double waved yellow. There is Fernando Alonso. Has he just gone straight on at turn 14? Looks like it. He's managed to get going again. But that's Fernando Alonso's night is just going from bad to worse to really bad.
Yeah, Ferrari would have been hoping he stalled and was stuck there, so they'll get an opportunity to pit.
Right, on board with Max Verstappen now, who is right behind Zhou Guanyu in the Alfa Romeo. Verstappen is on the verge of the points, and then he's got Hulkenberg and he's got Lawson ahead of him. And it's worth mentioning, just for this moment, that Liam Lawson is currently sat in 8th place, and holding his own quite nicely on a night that could give him, with 15 laps to go, his first points in Formula One. And there goes Verstappen down the inside on Zhou Guanyu, who rather left the room for him, because I don't think he felt he was racing Max Verstappen at that moment in time. Up to 10th points being scored for Verstappen.
Fastest man last time around, Alex Albon. No, not quite faster, because Hamilton in 35 now and Russell, but other than the two Mercedes, Albon down in 12th was flying along. Let's just watch these Mercs now. He's just 4.5, there's 9.4 now. Yeah, that's what we thought. A few laps and they'll be right with Leclerc.
Right with Leclerc in 5 laps time, and then Lando Norris only a couple of seconds ahead of Charles Leclerc, and Carlos Sainz about 2 seconds ahead as well.
I don't think they'll have any defence when the Mercedes arrive on the scene. I just cannot see that they'll have the traction to defend.
This is what happened to Fernando Alonso down at turn 14, and just not turning for him. And we saw with the 5-second penalty with that pit lane entrance, he just couldn't get the braking done in time in the turn in. Well, we saw it again there too. Ted Kravitz, down to you.
So what Mercedes said earlier, that you need your 2-second advantage per lap over the car in front in order to overtake, they've got that now. So again, I tell you who else needs...
Sorry, space. Need faster if you can till the end.
Now you've got to get on with it, Carlos, and now you've got to get on with it, Lando Norris, as well, because McLaren chose not to stop. Yes, he's running P2 at the moment. We've got to hope that Lando has to hope that he's kept some life in his hard tyres, because otherwise he's going to be heading off the podium too.
Went into this race, Martin Brundle, thinking any one of the top 5 could win tonight. I still think any one of the top 5 could win, as Max Verstappen passes Nico Hülkenberg. But I think now that those running 4th and 5th might just have the best chance of winning this race.
Unquestionably, we were surprised they didn't second guess the safety car, because for me it was absolutely going to happen, one of the two safety cars. But then when they didn't come in on the next lap, Ferrari, I was absolutely amazed.
Well, they all didn't get a chance, or I don't think they got a chance for the first lap.
They could have second-guessed it, but then you could you could have egg on your face in a hurry with that one, I guess.
But no, you're absolutely right. Second time around.
But second time around, but there was always going to have to be a safety car to get that car out of the way at the end of the pit lane.
Bernie Collins, if you were on the pit wall at Ferrari, what would you have said?
Well, I think the big thing, like we said at the top, is that the Ferrari didn't have that medium tyre to put on. They only had the soft. So Mercedes were in the position holding all the cards there. They could stop, put the medium on both cars. Ferrari with the soft, it's a little bit too far maybe to make that soft go to the end. So that they're hoping that this hard, they have saved enough from that earlier stint of the race.
Yeah, all that pace management that Carlos Sainz has been doing in this race so far, this is where it will pay dividends for him, if indeed it does pay dividends for him. And that's the gap you can see there between Charles Leclerc and George Russell, and how he's closed that gap in the space of about 3 laps.
Sainz's tyres went on lap 20, of course, with that first safety car, with Logan Sargent's front wing damaged out there. But looking at this, Russell now just 13 seconds off the lead, and at the end of this lap it'll be more like 11 or 12.
So
11 and a half.
Lap 50 of 62. Stand by for a grandstand finish, as I said. Sainz has the lead. Sainz has driven brilliantly tonight, doing everything his team have wanted, but you can't always control everything in Formula One, and that virtual safety car has brought Mercedes back into the action.
Key for me now is how long will it take Russell and Hamilton to pass Leclerc and Norris, if they can, when they get there?
Well, we'll find out, I think, in about 3 laps' time. And what has Norris got in terms of pace? Has Lando Norris saved a little bit to help with his defence? Has Charles Leclerc got that grip that he needs to keep the two Mercedes at bay? Here comes George Russell. In a moment, when they get to the Esplanade Bridge, he might just be able to see Charles Leclerc. You know what it's like as a driver, Martin. You know you're closing the gap, but when you can see the car in front, suddenly you get that extra spring in your step.
Yeah, Spurs you on, there's no doubt about it, but he'll know just how well the car's gripped up at the moment. And he'll be seeing, he can just measure it every corner, how much closer he's getting.
Now, pit exit incident involving Sergio Perez and Alex Albon been noted by race control for a VSC infringement. Were they going a little bit too fast at the pit exit? Not quite sure on that one. We'll try and get some more details in a moment. There's Sergio Perez's teammate, Max Verstappen. If you remember last night, he got knocked out of qualifying in Q2 by the man who's currently ahead of him, Liam Lawson. 7/1000ths of a second, the difference between the AlphaTauri and the Red Bull, who's now coming at Liam Lawson. If you remember back to Zandvoort, Liam Lawson overtook Max Verstappen to unlap himself. Now he's got to try and defend against the two-time world champion, and he's positioning his car as best he can, but I don't quite think he's got the pace to keep him at bay for that long. Verstappen up into 8th place.
Respect, he didn't make it easy for the sister team of Red Bull there. Lawson still in the World Championship points.
And if he finishes in those World Championship points, that is a huge achievement for Liam Lawson in only his 3rd Grand Prix, in his first ever Singapore Grand Prix. That man deserves a drive in Formula One. It would be great to see him around and having full season after season in this sport. And he didn't make it easy, but he did leave just enough room there for Max Verstappen. Great respect, super driving.
Indeed. Russell now less than 10 seconds off the lead, and he was 1.6 faster than Sainz. If Sainz had got any more pace, he'd have been using it by now.
Stewards are going to look at that incident involving Sergio Perez and Alex Albon after the race. So we'll concentrate back on the action once more. George Russell really, really wants this victory here tonight. He was, after qualifying, saying, look, we've saved an extra set of medium tyres. We think we've got an advantage over Ferrari. Now he's getting the chance to show that advantage on the track.
And Hamilton 0.6 quicker than Russell on that previous lap, so he's closing in as well. What they're going to have to do is rock up to the back of Leclerc and Norris and somehow just immediately pass them.
It'll be different as well when they get into DRS range and they get that extra 13 kilometers an hour at the end of the DRS straights, and then you'll see the opportunity that they'll be given the advantage to try and take. Charles Leclerc is looking in his mirrors, and he'll probably be able to see quite nicely now George Russell coming at him in the Mercedes.
Yeah, he's got to drive the widest Ferrari ever if he wants to help his teammate win this Grand Prix. And his team, of course.
Yeah, meanwhile out in front, only a second and a half between Carlos Sainz and Lando Norris at the moment. And Norris could still very much win this race, but he's probably got the least advantage of the British drivers, certainly, because he's not on the fresher tyres. Ted, down to you.
Before this gets really tasty, just quick, keep an eye out for the last points-paying position fight between Nico Hülkenberg, who currently holds it for Haas, and Zhou Guanyu, who's closing very quickly in the Alfa Romeo Sauber. But, you know, sometimes, Crofty, when we do tyre chat, we talk about, oh, he's got a 3-lap offset. You know, his tyres are 4 laps younger. Isn't that significant? 25 laps. The Mercedes have got a tyre offset than the cars in front. 25 laps younger tyres. Even I'll get excited about tyre chat now.
Not seen Toto Wolff smile much in Formula One recently, but if Mercedes can win this, I bet you he'll read the race report on Wikipedia afterwards. 10 laps to go.
Hamilton still catching Russell as well.
And Charles Leclerc's current gap then to George Russell is getting diminished metre after metre. Russell is in DRS range here. Lewis Hamilton was, what, nearly 2 seconds faster than Charles Leclerc on the previous lap. He's in big trouble, Charles Leclerc, and he might even be in big enough trouble to be overtaken at the end of this straight.
George has to pass this Ferrari on this lap.
Well, he's having a little look, but just runs out of metres in a straight line to get the overtake done there. But he's still catching, and now Leclerc can do some defending on behalf of his teammate Carlos Sainz and make this just a little bit more uncomfortable for George Russell. As we got a yellow flag in Sector 3, Valtteri Bottas moving very slowly. We've got a green flag. I think he might have pulled off to the side of the track and out of the way. They're about to be approaching round about where he is at turn 14 as we go over the Anderson Bridge now. If you get good traction right here, a nice new fresh bit of tarmac to use to get some grip as well. George Russell can make the overtake going into turn 14, getting the slipstream from the Ferrari, and Charles Leclerc forces him to go the long way round, but that means George Russell can do the old switcheroo at turn 14, and George Russell is ahead of Charles Leclerc. 1 car down, 2 more to go for George Russell.
They were never going to be able to defend in the traction zones, and especially when they're forced to take a tight line in to defend, and Hamilton will be through there in a heartbeat too.
Yep, we're on board with Lewis Hamilton, who will get DRS down this main straight, but Charles Leclerc gets it too, because Russell isn't more than a second ahead. And right, the gap between the top 5 now, 9 seconds, but the 2 Mercedes significantly faster than the other 3.
And Russell only lost 0.2 of a second to Sainz, including having to overtake Leclerc.
Here comes Lewis Hamilton onto the fastest part of the track, and it's DRS zone for Lewis Hamilton and not for Charles Leclerc. Which way is he going to force Lewis Hamilton to go? He wants to push him to the right-hand side. Hamilton is now ahead of Charles Leclerc, and that is 1 down, 3 to go for Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah, they're marching on, the 2 Mercedes, but that's what we were talking about. They had to rock up, overtake, and get on with it. And that's their biggest obstacle, passing the second Ferrari.
There goes George Russell. The move on Charles Leclerc. Yeah, there's one more Ferrari ahead of him. Carlos Sainz, you remember,
is the second of the 2 on the track, I mean, because it was Leclerc who could do the most damage there, I think, in terms of halting the advance of the Mercedes.
And this is how Lewis Hamilton got past Charles Leclerc. You remember how Carlos Sainz started on pole in Monza and finished 3rd, and the 2 Red Bulls managed to get past him?
Yeah.
Do you get that sinking feeling for Carlos Sainz that he's going to start on pole here tonight and he's going to see a 1-2 finish as 2 cars get ahead of him, and it's going to be Mercedes?
I don't think he's got any more pace out front, Carlos Sainz. He's actually done a 38.7. In fact, he's got Norris catching him gently as well now, Carlos Sainz. So,
talking of Norris, here's his teammate, Oscar Piastri. That's Max Verstappen that's about to go past him. Verstappen on the medium tyre. He's got that tyre offset because he ran the hards right at the start, and he's up into 7th place. But for once, Max Verstappen is a long way from the leading action. In fact, he's currently 37 seconds off our race leader, Carlos Sainz, who on lap 55 has a 1.2 second gap to Lando Norris. The gap to Lewis Hamilton, though, is under 8 seconds. And the 2 Mercedes continue to...
How far's the gap? 7 seconds, Norris.
Is it too big a gap for us to catch?
Negative. Let's go for it.
it's doable, isn't it? Got to give it everything. And then it's a question of how malleable Lando Norris will be and how much grip he's got in the traction zones against those Mercedes.
And just looking at this lap, the pace has slowed slightly for the 2 Mercedes. There's the 2 out in front, Carlos and Lando. What a double act they've been so far in Formula One. Friendship put aside for the next few laps, because I'm sure both desperate to come out on top in this one.
Well, it was slower because they were passing Leclerc. On this lap alone, they're a second faster in the middle sector alone. The Mercedes over the 2 leaders, a second in the middle sector.
Which is a twistier part of the track. And if they've got the pace and the grip there, then they've obviously got the downforce to protect the tyres as well. Great views from the outside of the final corner. We're on the inside of the final corner watching the 2 Mercedes blasting past us once more. And in 3 laps' time, George Russell is going to be on the gearbox of Lando Norris.
Is it going to take that long?
We'll see, Martin. Norris, by the way, is now about a second behind Carlos Sainz. Ted, down to you.
So we understand from that it was a gearbox problem, a hydraulic problem for Valtteri Bottas. That's why he stopped. But, well, didn't Valtteri do his old team Mercedes a favour, Crofty, by not causing a safety car and pulling off, in a very, very good place?
Well, he certainly made sure there were no yellow flags to stop any potential overtakes. Oh, there's nerves, aren't there, in the team garages. And there's probably a few nerves mixed with high-octane adrenaline out on the track. 1.2 seconds, the gap out in front. Russell now 2.9 seconds back on Lando Norris. Lewis Hamilton 1.6 seconds back on his teammate. If there's time and the 2 Mercedes get past the Ferrari and the McLaren, I wonder if they're going to be allowed to battle it out for the lead.
Well, you've got to put your money, haven't you, on Mercedes at this point. If they can keep this pace up on the mediums, and there's no reason why not on this fuel load, this track, and the amount of distance they've got to go on those tyres, you'd have to put your money on the Mercedes as long, once again, they can just navigate quickly past Lando Norris.
Singapore Flyer illuminating the night sky, the Singapore Flyers down on the track. And what a battle this is going to be and is shaping up to be here. The top four.
Copy Lando, every lap.
Copy. It's not the gap you need.
Now separated by under 5 seconds. It was 7 seconds at the end of the last lap. It's under 5 seconds, the gap between the top four now.
I wonder if Carlos has been made aware or understands who he's actually racing here.
What would you want to know as a driver at this stage? Would you want to know where Lewis Hamilton and George Russell were?
I'd want to know about this pair, that's for sure. Yeah, because they're the ones dictating now the pace of this race by some margin.
Or do you want to know just where Lando is, because he's the one that he can properly see in his wing mirrors?
Now he's just got to go as fast as he can. It's nothing to do with Lando, and we're already hearing that Charles Leclerc is saying his right rear tyre is gone.
Max Verstappen feeling rather nice on his tyres currently, and he's got Pierre Gasly very much in his sights as he aims to start 11th for the third time in Formula One and come home with his first ever points finish from that particular starting position. But on a night that he was looking for an 11th win in succession, it's not going to happen for him. Gasly keeping him at bay for as long as he possibly can. On this particular lap, lap 57, once again, Martin, the two Mercedes are second faster than Sainz and Norris through that middle sector. As here goes Verstappen to try and get past Gasly before they get down towards turn 14, and he's got a car length's advantage over the Alpine, and that is Max Verstappen, albeit a bit unsteady, going up to 6th place.
Yeah, but Max was doing a wall of death around the outside, wasn't he, so that he wasn't in contact with the Alpine there. As he went deep around on the braking zone. But here we go then.
Norris has got DRS here on Carlos Sainz, and that is a massive advantage for him at this moment to get closer to the leader, but to help in his defence too. Carlos Sainz, if his teammate is in trouble with the tyres, Carlos Sainz could be in a little bit of trouble with the tyres here. And I said that stat, didn't I, about British drivers, and the last time we had a 1-2-3 being 1968, well, we could still get a 1-2-3 for British drivers here.
Lando 0.8 behind, 0.8 with DRS, Russell no DRS.
Yeah, it's on purpose.
Okay, so Bernie did say that to me. Actually, she wondered if it was all about getting Norris a bit of help there to defend, and that is exactly what he was doing.
But you have to say that help might come into play in about a lap and a half's time, but is it coming into play now? Because the Mercedes are right there. They've got the fresher tyres, and it's not in the DRS zone, Martin, where necessarily they've got the advantage. It's the grip they're getting from the slower corners that's helping them cruise right up to the back.
And Lewis is just ready to pounce if George gets wrong-footed anywhere against Lando Norris.
What a battle this is. The gap between the top four is now 1.7 seconds as we start lap 59 of, at times, patience Singapore Grand Prix, and at other times, absolutely thrilling Singapore Grand Prix that is no means decided as yet. Sainz leads from Norris, Russell and Hamilton, and we've got a yellow flag in sector 2. I'm just wondering.
Albon stopped turn 13.
Oh dear, Alex Albon stopped maybe on the outside of turn 13, and he has got going again now. He has got going again now. So once again, no safety car. And Carlos Sainz will be going, damn, why couldn't we have had a safety car right to the end of this race? Protect my lead, protect my victory.
Even George Russell was moving around there.
Front tyres are finished, says Carlos Sainz. Struggling so much out in front.
Hey, Hamilton looks racy there, doesn't he? George Russell, his Mercedes got out of shape on the throttle as well, but this was the moment we were talking about. How quickly can he navigate past? Can he navigate past? Lando Norris.
The action is ahead of Lewis Hamilton, who's just sitting waiting patiently. George Russell can't get Lando Norris there, but look at George Russell's exit coming out of turn 14, and he's now about to go wheel to wheel, and Norris just has to slip behind the rear wing of the McLaren. Hamilton waiting patiently once again. This has helped Carlos Sainz, because Carlos Sainz has now just gone off into the distance somewhat.
And Norris now loses the DRS.
So Lando Norris is in big trouble here from both of the Mercedes as down the main straight they go. 3 laps to go. The gap between the top 4 now 2.3 seconds.
This is the pivotal work. Norris doing a great job for his former teammate Carlos Sainz. Mercedes then, well, looks like they're going to start squabbling each other. They can't afford to do that. They've got to get past this McLaren on this lap.
Like a naughty schoolboy, Carlos Sainz has backed Lando Norris into the clutches of the 2 Mercedes and then scampered off into the distance to try and build that lead. But as you can see, Norris still crucially had a bit of DRS, and he is keeping the 2 Mercedes at bay. But it's in this middle part of the lap, it's in these slow corners that the Mercedes are getting really good traction, although Lewis Hamilton is seemingly getting better traction than George Russell there.
But Russell is now having to watch his teammate and keep an eye on him and go slightly defensive against Hamilton.
Can they both work together to try and clear Lando Norris? They're running out of laps. And this tense, thrilling, high-speed end to this Singapore Grand Prix. What a night to be watching Formula One.
Norris with DRS again then from the Ferrari. Sainz is playing a blinder, or is that all he's got?
So I think it's this straight, really, where the Mercedes might have the advantage, because there's no DRS down this straight for Lando Norris to use to his advantage, but the Mercedes are just a little bit too far behind. Sainz is helping Lando Norris, but more importantly, helping himself.
Yeah, and Norris still getting the slipstream at least at this point, although it's hurting him through these fast corners, but so is it hurting the Mercedes behind him.
Mercedes took the gamble, pitting behind that virtual safety car. They dispatched Charles Leclerc long ago, but they can't quite get past Lando Norris and get within touching distance of the ultimate goal, which is Carlos Sainz, who is leading the Singapore Grand Prix and has done for pretty much all of it.
I think it's genius what's going on here from Sainz, just helping Norris defend against the 2 Mercedes with his rear wing open.
We know about the bromance, Martin. Sainz and Norris, I said, what a double act they've been throughout their time in Formula One, formerly as teammates, now Ferrari against McLaren, but what a double act they are being at the moment to help each other out potentially to a 1-2 finish.
Well, they've got a way to go yet, a lap and a half to go before they can celebrate that. And both Mercedes now just starting to move around a little.
They're getting disturbed by the turbulent air a little bit. The tyres that were a lot fresher 10 laps ago, struggling for grip and for performance.
George needs to pick up the pace if he can.
Copy that.
I'm sure he's trying, but Lewis Hamilton frustrated, I think, there.
Yeah, Russell's Mercedes wagging its tail again under traction, complaining it wanted a bit more grip, but this is the key part. They haven't been able to navigate past Lando Norris so far.
So, will Lewis Hamilton try and make a move on his teammate George Russell to try and pick up the podium here? Through they go into turn 16 once more. Sainz ahead of Norris, ahead of Russell, ahead of Hamilton.
Russell's rear tyres look horrible now. He's really moving around a lot.
So, what do Mercedes do? Do they allow Lewis Hamilton to chase after Lando Norris, or do they give it one more lap with George Russell trying to put the pressure on the McLaren?
They can't really ask Russell to yield a podium, I don't think, on the last lap.
Carlos Sainz has just under 3 miles to go to try and win out in Singapore. Lando Norris has about 2.5 miles to go now to try and hang on to that second place and equal his best finish in Formula One. And George Russell is running out of time to try and get further up the podium.
Russell have his rear wing open there. Didn't look like he did unless it had just closed when I looked. But anyway, there we go.
And while all this is going on, Max Verstappen could still get 5th place. He is catching Charles Leclerc hand over fist by about 4 seconds a lap. Leclerc's tyres really are finished. You can hear the cheers of the crowd here over 2. Oh, now goes off the Mercedes, and into the barrier goes George Russell. Been struggling on his tyres. Russell's bid for Singapore glory ends up in the barriers. Sainz now leads Norris and Lewis Hamilton in 3rd place. Russell Russell was giving it one last go and just ran out of track at the wrong moment and hitting the barriers. I hope he's okay, but that is such an unfair end to his race.
No! No!
He so did not deserve that, George Russell. Mercedes are giving it an absolute brilliant go here. They really have. But Ferrari have controlled this race from the front. And Carlos Sainz, who started on pole and didn't get the win in Monza, does it tonight in Singapore. Carlos Sainz wins the Singapore Grand Prix. Lando Norris comes home to collect that second place. And it's Lewis Hamilton who completes the 1, 2, 3. Bravo, take a bow. What a thrilling end to that Grand Prix. Meanwhile, Charles Leclerc trying to hang on to fourth place and does so just by 0.2 of a second from Max Verstappen. Pierre Gasly will come home for 6th. Oscar Piastri will take 7th. Perez 8th. Liam Lawson deserves a round of applause too for a first ever points finish in Formula 1. And Kevin Magnussen should complete the points. He's holding off Alex Albon at the moment, down in 10th. But it's Sainz triumphant.
P1, baby, P1.
Vamos! Vamos, Fred! Vamos, Ricky!
What a mega job you did there. What a smart race.
You know what? This is my first smooth operation in Ferrari. Smooth operator.
What I loved about that was the brilliant teamwork between Sainz and Norris, and they're not even in the same team.
Logan Sargent trying to hold off Fernando Alonso, who's still giving it everything to race to the line. Magnussen did get into the points. Albon ahead of Joe, Hülkenberg ahead of Sargent. Alonso 15th place for Aston Martin and ahead of George Russell. And you've got your heart goes out to George Russell there, Martin, who gave it everything.
Let's go!
Well done.
Oh! I hit the wall.
Okay, just bring it back carefully. Bring it
I
back
didn't,
carefully. I don't know, but P2.
Let's
Well
go.
done.
Brilliant. Yeah, I had 10 laps to go. I'd have put a sizable amount of money on George Russell winning that race.
Yeah, and he ends up in the wall. Such are the highs and lows of top-class sport. And that is the man who has ended Red Bull's run of 15 consecutive Grand Prix wins. Ferrari winning in Singapore. He's the driver of the day. He has been on it here ever since he started turning a wheel in Friday practice. And there the wheel's not turning of George Russell's Mercedes. He looks to have clambered free from the cockpit.
Brakes are on fire, but hopefully no longer.
Lewis Hamilton, his teammate, coming home for 3rd.
Mega job, boys. Mega job. It's such good pace at the end there.
Yeah, mate, looks super strong.
Yeah, great work by everyone.
Well, it was the right strategy call. It really was. He gets the fastest lap of the race and an extra point as well, does Lewis Hamilton, and will move into 3rd place in the drivers' table. For the first time since the opening race of the season, we have a different top 3 in the drivers' championship. It's been Verstappen and Perez and Alonso since Bahrain. Well, Hamilton will move into 3rd place with that. Fernando Alonso, the last driver to reach the checkered flag here tonight.
Bizarre, isn't it, really? 15th out of the 15 runners, Fernando Alonso, after a lot of trials and tribulations and a very slow pit stop, a trip up the escape road. And this man, though, what do we say? Win at the slowest possible speed. He certainly did that.
Well, Alan Prost will be proud.
Yep, Dario Franchitti tells me Sir Jackie Stewart also said that on my phone here.
His first win as a Ferrari driver. His 2nd win in Formula 1. It's a jump for joy for Carlos Sainz, who's shown us over the course of this weekend on Sky Sports F1 just how he trains and how he trains extra hard for a Singapore Grand Prix, from static bikes in the sauna to ice baths to late night runs around the track. It's the extreme race that he focuses on and works the hardest for, and it has ended in victory for him too. And there's Lando Norris. Hey, he says, Charles Leclerc, sadly for him, not making it onto the podium. His tyres were gone, but he held off Max Verstappen for that fourth place, which is important, obviously, for Ferrari, as they and Mercedes pull clear of Aston Martin now in the championship. And the fight for second, I think, really between those two teams. Zach Brown over to congratulate his former driver, as the night sky is filled with fireworks after we had, Martin, a final end to this race with plenty of fireworks on the track.
That was a cracker, wasn't it? I really enjoyed that race. It was a bit steady. It was a slow burn in the beginning. Well done to Oscar Piastri, 7th, Liam Lawson 9th, as you mentioned. Magnussen stealing the last World Championship point there. Pierre Gasly up there in 6th as well. Some standout performances. Seems as if the Red Bull does actually have some race pace, even around here as well, with Verstappen coming back to a close 5th.
Yeah, certainly did. They went through all the pain in the opening stint, and then the safety car coming out at just the wrong time for them, but on the medium tyres at the end. They made the advantage stick. Sort of race, you get the feeling, Martin, that you enjoy very